I'm Jon Kirby, one of the founder members of a company called Ishango. We really kind of kicked off Ishango recently just to pick up, I guess, some of the stuff that Martin's already gone through, but a lot of the data and reporting stuff that I guess I've picked up over the years. And then this photo is of the BCI Awards in 2019, just before lockdown. So yeah, we won an award, so I was dead pleased with myself. um, so I guess, hang on, let me get the slide clicker working. Do that. Right, yeah. So in terms of a bit of background on myself, started out as a service desk operator, what 20 odd years ago now. Came fresh from uni, so I don't know how many of you guys are kind of graduates, but left uni, did a kind of low level job, but tried to remain technical. So I had a maths background and computer science, so kind of fell into a nice easy job there doing a service desk role. Then kind of went from there through system admin, server support kind of stuff, and then kind of more in the last sort of 5 to 10 years worked as a business analyst, and that's where I kind of got stuck into some of the data. So databases, um, application development, clients requirement, kind of jack of all trades really. But that's kind of where I started, and then took a job as the A14 reporting manager back in 2016, and that's where I guess this whole idea of project data analytics kind of was in its infancy, really. But that was I was recruited, I guess, on the A14 as more of a technical reporting manager, and the A14, and I have a few slides on our achievements on A14, but previously in construction, reporting managers have been less technically capable and more PowerPoint, Excel perhaps. And I was brought on more to have that more technical sort of focus on bringing systems together and I guess pulling all the data into one place. So I'll quickly whiz through this, but the A14, those that don't know, was I think at the time the largest highways construction project at 1.5 billion. This was back in 2016, so it's nearing completion now. But it was a pretty sizable job, joint venture with loads of different stakeholders, so Costain, Balfour, Skanska, and then the design guys, and then the client was Highways England. Um, pretty big job. And 2016, some of this stuff around data was pretty fresh. But what we managed to achieve, this is the short version, kind of project on a page style dashboard reports through Power BI. The chart on the right was a dashboard view. So I don't know, those of you that are familiar with Power BI, this is an aggregation of data from underlying reports. And then on the left is just one of, I guess, many dashboards and reports that we pulled together. The one on the left shows how we were aggregating data from different sources. So I don't think you can see the headers, but we've got CPI and SPI for those that know about the commercial stuff. Planned percentage complete, so PPC, and yeah, we're aggregating data from planned and cost. So we've got actuals, earned value, and from P6 we've got dates and scheduled completion stuff. So quite a mission to get from, I guess, back in 2016 to get from a starting point of 0 through to something that was actually of use to the project. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work, but we got there in the end. What happened afterwards? We kind of got to a point, I guess, sort of mid 2018, where we'd hit a pretty decent point in terms of data collection. So a lot of source systems such as P6, Exactium, all that kind of stuff. We're pulling in what 20 odd different source data. We've got it all on a database, and we've started to collect high volumes of information. Um, coined the term big data back in those days was all about volume and loads of stuff happening all at once. We argued that we did have big data, it's just wide. So we may have small data sets, but we had a lot of them. And trying to aggregate them together was quite a mission. But yeah, this is us, me and Mark Tootle. We did a meetup presentation back in July 2018. So it's good to come back and keep sharing with the meetup group what's happened, I guess. So where we launched from this point, and we took a more data science approach. So we'd got all of this data collected on A14. So why not? Let's try an AI pilot. And I don't know if there were many going on at that time, but certainly we had the edge, I guess. So yeah, it was a health and safety, had a health and safety focus. So on a morning, the guys are doing the morning briefing. Can we use data from previous days to work out if it's likely to be a higher risk day? So sorts of things that we pulled in: weather, obviously from previous data, sports events, footy match at the weekend, does that affect whether or not you've got a higher risk day? Some more obvious ones such as working hours, so like fatigue and stuff like that. So we took all of this data, trained the model, and looked at the incidents and observations from previous days to work out were there spikes because of different things. And then after running that exercise, which I haven't got the slide, but was a 75% success, I think, in terms of the result. What I found more interesting was the top feature prevalence. So this was a sorted, once running the machine learning model, this was a sorted response of which features drove that decision for it being a higher risk day. And number one was always working over 9 hours the previous day, so a fatigue related issue. Then we've got another fatigue one at number two, weather related issues, and then archaeologists, a little bit of a clumsy bunch, falling over wheelbarrows and falling into holes and stuff. So it's good to have the machine tell us these things. So it wasn't us going, oh, okay, gut feel is fatigue's going to cause a high risk day. It was actually the machine saying, well, it's looked at the data, and it can give that as a number one correlation for the higher risk day prediction forecast. Success. We ran the model, and we were able to produce I guess a dashboard for the guys on site to run as part of their morning briefing. This was one particular day that I can't even remember when this was, but it was a hot weekend, and then actually the reasoning came out that it actually was related. So the machine pulled the temperature out as a reason for a high risk day. So yeah, this was a proof of concept. We proved the point. Productionizing this is a topic for another discussion, I think, because it's all very well collecting this data, but what do you do with it once you've got it? I think there was a couple of discussions about, okay, if we have this information predicted by a machine learning model, we have that information in the morning, but we don't tell people, and then there's an incident. Who's liable? Are you liable because there was a machine learning model that said you should have told everyone and you didn't? And then, well, rabbit hole, that particular thought process. So yeah, all in all, pretty good. So that was, I guess, the A14. I thought I would share some of the challenges over the past 5 to 10 years. Some of these probably you guys are familiar with. Starting with the dinosaurs in the top left. Back in 2016, there were more of them and they were louder. So it was a point in time in construction, I guess, when there was a lot of spreadsheets going on, and there was a lot of, I guess, I don't want to say fiddling the information, but reacting very fast to information and not kind of driven by fact, which I guess covers the Excel point in the top right. Um, it was quite a lot of work to coach and train and get guess people that aren't used to thinking digitally, or they're not used to thinking in data, to actually take ownership of data and start communicating that way. Um, we were very fortunate on A14. We had buy-in from very senior management, and they kind of backed the whole project and said, right, this is how we're doing it. Um, and then it was that layer underneath that took a little bit of coaching to get them on board. But I would say 18 months of kind of getting the data sorted, producing the dashboards, working with these guys, just coaching day in, day out, basically just being that irritating voice in the side of your ear that just keeps on going. Um, but yeah, we wore them down eventually, and now we've got a little bit more, I guess, in the industry. It's a little bit more accepted. Um, then the bottom two. So construction projects notorious for, I guess, starting again, um, or bringing bad habits from one project to the next. So I had this tracker on my last project. It was great. It sat in Excel with what version number 50 something, um, and it's just not kind of kept pace with digital change, I guess. Um, I think that is improving, and certainly a lot of the tier ones are recognizing now that there's a lot of information being captured in projects, and a lot of value in that too. And then bottom right goes without saying, paper everywhere, rooms dedicated to paper. But that again, now we've got a little bit more capability in the kind of Azure and AWS cloud space. There's less need for that, and less need for kind of scribbling on a bit of paper and, oh, is there a wet signature for that kind of thing. And we did well, I think, on A14 in getting rid of some of it, but there was a lot still present. So I guess this is just off the top of my head, kind of where I think we are now, a little bit of what we need to build on for the future. So obviously there's, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but the dinosaurs in the top left, there's also, I guess, a bit of a challenge in the industry with recruiting younger people into construction. Um, I know I did a couple of STEM events back on A14 with young people, just to kind of get them enthusiastic about, well, actually construction's not about just about digging holes and spades and dirt and drawings and stuff. There's a lot of data as well, so kind of getting that kind of younger generation geared up to the industry. Obviously coming along with that, technical skills, capability of the younger generation. They obviously come with some some skills either from college or university, but certainly in this space, and hence the apprenticeship projecting success are running. It's great to kind of get that younger generation just geared up in the right skills. Um, Industry knowledge helps. So kind of building on all of these things, having an understanding of construction certainly has helped me in the past 5 years or so. Um, we need to collect data. There's a lot of it out there. Collecting data is one thing, but we also need to make sure it's well structured data. If we're collecting it for the hell of it, that's fine, but let's just make sure it's tagged. Some kind of coding structure would be useful. Um, Cloud services I've mentioned, AWS and Azure with Microsoft, great platforms. They do everything these days. We're looking, as Ishango, at some apps as well. So there's gaps in the market, which you guys probably have seen around construction. There's a lot of paper still out there. So there's opportunity there for power apps, definitely. And we've spotted a few others that we'd started on A14. So I've started some development too. And then the future, more data, more capability we have with AI and machine learning, richer digital twin. So not just the models, but also how has this been constructed, and what's the timeline to get it to that point. And then my favorite, project automation. So can we get rid of a lot of this middle management and just use the skilled labor, plug the skilled labor into what they need to do, and then off we go. We can build roads and bridges and stuff. Um, so kind of little plug, I guess, for Ishango. This is our logo. Kind of taking, at the moment we've got a lot of a lot of things going on, and certainly within Ishango we are maturing very fast into pulling on our learning from May 14 and other projects, and that data analysis piece, pulling on some of the mobile apps that we're building, and then the guys are getting skilled up on Python. So the idea being eventually we can start tackling some of these more meaty problems in the AI space and project automation. So our transfer from capturing data into a data enabler. And then I'm conscious of time because I've only got a 15-minute slot, but kind of finishing on, I guess, points from me. The apprenticeship, we've got two guys in Ishango on it, and I could not recommend this highly. This is could not recommend it highly enough. Um, the the breadth that you get from this apprenticeship, there's nothing else out there that does it. It's you're touching on Python, you're doing data analytics, you're doing Power BI, but you're also got an eye for kind of general data analyst kind of work and structure like that. So we've got two guys on it, and yeah, they're flying. Capturing data, I mentioned earlier, needs to be well structured. Common coding structures, I don't think there's enough out there. So you've got the data, but how do you classify it? How do you know you've got a bridge? What sort of bridge is it? Are you using concrete? What sort of concrete is it? Just having some logic, I mean, consistent across the industry would be amazing, but one step at a time. And let's everyone at least have that in the back of their heads that we just need some kind of coding will make everything work a lot smoother. And that's where we did some of the real wins on A14 was aggregating data across multiple data sets, and that would not have been possible without some kind of common coding structure. The dinosaurs, so Kate training and coaching the leadership and technophobes, so anybody that hasn't quite got it, or they've done it some way and it's always worked for them, why change? They're the ones that need a little bit of, well, okay, a little bit of a cuddle. You say, well, okay, don't worry, we'll sort you out. We've got the technology. Just give us some feedback, keep listening to them, and then eventually they'll turn around. But one thing, yeah, I've found standing your ground on data quality is perhaps something we weren't as good at on A14. But the data is what the data is. If the data owner is asking for little fudges or little niggles that need to change, and you'd be like, well, this is what the data is. You put the data into that platform. Why should I have to fix that in Power BI, and then next month got to fix it again, and then next month? So so yeah, just stand your ground, I guess. Once the I guess leadership or whoever's the business owner, once they get that, and once they get that it's their data, then it should be a lot easier to kind of manage that relationship. Good old Excel as well. So always the quick get out is Excel. Love-hate relationship, I guess, with Excel. There is a place for it, and as an analyst, I use it probably daily, even if I'm just, oh, okay, I need to calculate something here or there. The trouble with it comes is when it becomes a business critical source of data, and that's where there's a lot more, well, it's a lot more likely to fall over. So I did I produced a kind of 4 rules to Excel, which I haven't put on here, but basically don't change it. Just enter data in it, and then it should look after itself. But yeah, there's got to be better solutions now, and that's that gap in the market where there's tools that could be produced that do the job that Excel is currently using to plug the gap. And then good old data science. So one thing that we found when we ran the project on A14 was there's 3 kind of main areas. I think somebody, might have been Martin, mentioned the old unicorns. So it's not my diagram, so I've appropriately tagged it. But you've got computer science, maths and statistics, and then subject matter. All of those things kind of come together to do a bit of a data science, to do the data science projects well. When we were running on A14, it was, I guess, a bit of a struggle because we didn't really get our head, we hadn't really got our head around this is, you need all 3 areas for it to work really. So yeah, I can't take credit for the chart, but it seems to hit the nail on the head, I think. And that is me.
Hello, everyone, and yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. So, yeah, my name's Dan Maddox. As Martin mentioned, I'm director of Buildata Ltd, and I've been asked to talk to you this evening and share my background in construction and how I transitioned into data analytics. I'll give you a brief insight into Buildata and who we are. I'll talk about how different my role is now, what we're seeing in the market change, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some advice as to, well, give anybody getting started in project data analytics some useful advice at the end. So in terms of explaining my transition into digital and data, I thought it would be very apt to explain this visually via the classic line chart. So if you imagine in purple here, you kind of see that, coming from a construction background, my knowledge and experience in construction increase, naturally over time. But in gold, you can kind of visualize how digital and data became more prominent in my career. So kind of starting in 2007, when I joined the industry as a trainee engineer for a geotechnical engineering company called Bashi Solitonch. Most of my interaction with data was probably a lot of data input, record keeping, daily diaries, as well as interacting with materials testing data and doing a little bit of analytics on that front, but certainly nothing particularly focused on data analytics. It was more, data entry. Whilst working for Bashi Solitonch, I also studied HNC, building studies, and achieved a first-class honours in construction project management. And I guess one of the points that I wanted to make here is kind of going back to that period of time, maybe around about 2010 and prior to that. Digital or data didn't really form part of any of the syllabus with those particular courses. I'd imagine that's probably changed in recent times, particularly with the surge of BIM technology and other digital technology within the sector. Whilst working for Bashi Solitonch, gained some fantastic experience on some really large schemes, such as London Gateway Port, which you can see in the slide there. Also involved in kind of dam restoration, a lot of piling, motorway widening, that sort of stuff. And again, probably for the first 5 years of my career, a lot of my role was centered around quality control. And again, up until this point, exposure to data was quite limited to record keeping and the like. Once I'd kind of got the first 5 years under my belt, that gave me a really good foundation. I then decided to join another business. Some of you may know Skanska. It's part of the specialist geotechnical division. And from here, I was kind of able to apply some of my education and experience to start managing my own sections of work and projects. So kind of going back to about 2012, managing sections of work for Crossrail, before going on to manage piling projects, M25, a couple of projects for London Underground and the like. I think probably the notable difference at this point in my career was a little bit less data entry and record keeping, and kind of more focus on management activities. Process efficiency became quite prominent at this point, and certainly productivity monitoring became more prevalent in my role. Around about the same time was the emergence of, or the first emergence of building information modeling and other digital tools. Going back to 2012, I became fascinated really at the beginning with the potential of this technology. Became an early advocate. Even started blogging on the subject at one stage. But ultimately, wanted to start walking the walk and actually using some of this technology as part of my role on site. So, I started to do that. At the same time, on the career front, decided to keep developing professionally. So again, I think around about 2014, I studied for the APM project management qualification. I think one of the reasons I thought I'd mention that is because I know this particular community is becoming more and more embedded with APM and other organisations. So I just wanted to point out, going back maybe 7 years ago, again, there wasn't really a focus on the potential of data in project management, but I certainly think that's changing now. Information management and data is playing more of a prevalent role within the APN body of knowledge and community. So that was kind of further development in project management, and I became fascinated with process improvement. That led me to study for qualification in Lean Six Sigma. And really, it was probably at this point I became really interested in data and how data could be used for both process improvement and business improvement. So yeah, Lean Six Sigma is effectively a process and suite of tools that allows you to kind of observe a process, look at the data, and drive out inefficiencies within that process. So kind of moving on from there, I then started to think about wider potential for business improvement. Took up a full-time secondment in business improvement with Cementation Skanska, mostly focused on the development of digital workflows and the use of building information modeling on site. So yeah, did that pretty much full time for a year, as well as looking at some of the production control analysis. But at that point, it was, apart from the efforts with BIM software, a lot of the other analytics was still being done in Excel. Fast forward a little bit of time, I decided to broaden my experience. So I moved away from geotechnical engineering and more into traditional building construction. So it's quite, I'll be completely honest, it was a bit of a leap of faith moving from one discipline to a completely new one. But really thankful I did it. So yeah, joined Kia Construction as a senior engineer, working predominantly on commercial developments in central London, and was generally a package manager for demolition works, piling, groundworks, and steel work mainly. Studied for my NVQ in lifting operations, became an appointed person, temporary works coordinator, and various other site-based roles. Probably took me about, I'd say, 18 months to kind of embed within that role and kind of get my head around it. And really, my focus at that time was on the engineering and project delivery. Once I became more comfortable with that, I then fell back into becoming a digital advocate again, and very quickly started looking at bringing the digital tools into the on-site works that we were doing. So yeah, using 3D tools in the field, was able to deliver one of Kia's flagship projects, using it for quality management and managing the steelwork package predominantly. And from there, kind of got introduced to strategic projects, which is the specialist division within Kia for dealing with large strategic schemes. So I joined strategic projects to assist the digital team with the efforts around digital technology and BIM, but also had an opportunity to look at wider business improvement opportunities. It was at this point, during that business improvement activity, that I started to identify people's frustration. And look, it was a frustration that I'd seen previously in my own experience, but there was a shared frustration around manual reporting within not just Kia, but within all of the businesses I'd worked for. Manual reporting and process inefficiency. So as part of my research, I came across some opportunities with business intelligence and particularly with the Microsoft Power Platform. Because we didn't really have access to any resource at that point, and certainly the work that I was doing at the time wasn't really embedded within the IT space. I actually began self-teaching on the Microsoft Power Platform. I'm spending my evenings, weekends, getting quite excited about some of this stuff, but was able to very quickly demonstrate value, gain some senior buy-in, and a bit of traction. Shortly after, that did actually lead to me becoming a full-time internal BI consultant and developer. I think a role that I did at Kia for probably 2 years. And I was mainly driven by people's frustrations for manual reporting. So what I was able to do using the Microsoft Power Platform was to integrate data from various external sources, turnstile systems, health and safety systems, quality management systems, and demonstrate how we could start to automate a lot of the reporting and a lot of the insights that the business were looking for. And equally, I saw opportunity in Power Apps. So did actually build Power App solutions for kind of plugging some of those gaps, where data wasn't able to be automated. So yeah, developed a number of solutions. Was introduced to two main directors within Kia Construction. One of them I started reporting to, but they really bought into the concept. They sponsored the work. They helped to embed it in a number of the business's major projects. And to be honest, it was kind of their mentorship and exposure to kind of sensitive project reviews that really gave me a lot of experience that I probably wouldn't have got for maybe another 5 or 10 years had I continued on on a standard career path through engineering and project management. So yeah, really benefited from my time with those individuals, and also learned a lot from how they interacted with project data that we were able to present through the solutions, how they interacted with the data, how it allowed them to ask questions of project stakeholders, and really get to the bottom of pertinent project management issues. Probably at the beginning of 2019, I was introduced to Martin and the project data analytics community. So I decided to go along for a bit of fun, see what the hype was about, and engage with my first hack. That was a hack that my team actually won, which was fantastic. We were working with quality data from Sir Robert McAlpine at the time. So yeah, certainly my past experience with quality management was great for that particular challenge. And I've since gone on to support some of the other events, judging 2 hackathons and giving a couple of masterclasses. Also sponsored one of the challenges using client data from Buildata. And finally, kind of coming up towards the end of my career with Kia, joined the digital leadership team. Got a little bit more involved in strategy. I guess one of the key turning points was when I was kind of given the green light to recruit the first full-time data analyst that would be based on a project. And that particular individual has done some amazing things working alongside project controls, project planners, and also site teams. Really fantastic examples of why project data analytics is extremely valuable at the project level. Got involved in preparing and leading investment business cases, such as the acquisition of Power BI Premium and the like, and also pulled together the first cohort of 5 data apprentices for the Projecting Success course, which is fantastic. So I've probably spoken too much about myself, but I guess what I wanted to kind of show there is you don't necessarily have to come from a data background in order to make a difference, and a combination of construction experience and digital experience, ultimately led me to starting my business, Buildata. So Buildata was formed in February 2020. Started trading in March. Literally, I think it was the week of the first national lockdown. So that was quite a worry for the first few days, but quickly managed to secure some work, and it's it's been really great ever since. So Buildata is a specialist business intelligence consultancy operating in the construction industry, and we're looking to help organizations maximize their opportunities at the enterprise level, but also kind of cater for the needs and ensure proper control at the project level. So we've been trading now for 14 months. It's been a great year, if I'm being honest. Probably working with 3 of the top 15 tier 1 contractors. We've got the leading house builder in Ireland, has been a great supporter of ours, and we've done some fantastic work. Big program of work, actually. It's really given me a greater level of experience, and I've really enjoyed it. So I've recently been joined by Alistair O'Reilly. Alistair has joined the business as a director, and that's because Alistair has some fantastic experience across the sector. He's our main strategy consultant, and a lot of his experience has been with companies like Lang O'Rourke, where he's done a lot of work in digital reporting previously. It's been great to have Alistair on board. We're also supported by Jivan Ruprai. So Jivan also has a good foundation in construction, albeit from a slightly different perspective. Jivan comes from a commercial and quantity surveying background, previously working with organisations like Balfour Beatty and Turner and Townsend. Yeah, Jivan's really passionate about digital technology and creating fantastic user experiences. Jivan coincidentally is also on the apprenticeship, and again, fantastic feedback on that front. And last but not least, and Stuart's actually been with the business for the longest. Stuart's also a consultant with a strong background in data analytics, albeit from different industries. So just to answer the question, how different is my role now? It's certainly very diverse, doing a lot of consultancy as well as development work, ongoing support with clients. Equally, the day-to-day management of running a business is quite different, but very enjoyable. I think one of the things I like most about being a consultant is that I get to kind of experience and gain insight across multiple organisations. So I'm kind of not just fixed to one particular organisation and how they view the world or are progressing in this space. I actually get to see various perspectives. And yeah, it's just fantastic. I mean, to be honest, being a consultant, you do get a lot more experience more quickly. Probably learnt more in the last 14 months than I could have done in maybe 5 years. So also get to work with like-minded people. Got a fantastic team. On the client front, the fact that they are engaging an external consultant means that they are already, basically what I'm trying to say is the fact that they're paying for a service means that they're always willing and being very proactive, and wanting to make progress in this space. And individually and as a team, we're extremely motivated to provide a quality service. So how are we seeing the market change? Basically, there is a feeling kind of centrally within the businesses that we work for, is that they're kind of drowning in software and data, to be quite honest. And whilst there are pockets of great value in probably in silos, the businesses centrally aren't really reaping the rewards yet. We definitely see that stakeholders are reaching breaking point with the status quo. I mentioned manual reporting before, but conversations we're having at the moment with project directors and business leaders and even project level resource, they're really getting to breaking point with the amount of data that's out there, and the fact that manual reporting is in some cases getting more difficult for people, because a lot of this data is kind of locked up in various silos. So I definitely think we're at the point of big change. People don't want to continue on that particular path, and yeah. So what we are seeing is business intelligence and data analytics are being positioned as strategic initiatives. So you'll find that within business strategies, They are paying and making plans for improvements in this space. Equally, publications like the construction playbook and some of the public sector requirements and encouragement are certainly helping in that respect. Awareness and training is definitely increasing. You only have to look at the apprenticeship and various other initiatives out there. Awareness is definitely increasing. Enthusiasm is 100% growing. What we are finding is that there are pockets of excellence, but I'm going to say very few examples of real organizational transformation. But I'm not even sure that any real examples exist yet. There's probably a lot of hype, but again, it is mostly hype at this point. I think what the agenda is currently showing is that underlying processes are being exposed within businesses, and there is a feeling that these businesses will need to improve and address some of the the fundamental issues within business process, within data quality and organizational change, before they can really benefit from longer term rewards, if you like. However, we are seeing with new technology is always being advocated, and there is investment out there and interest in new tech, and I do think the industry will continue to harness that. And hopefully it won't be before too long that a lot of this new tech and AI, machine learning, I do hope it will become mainstream as soon as possible, really. But like I said, there are a lot of fundamentals that businesses need to address. So just to try and wrap up, my advice for getting started in project data analytics is to try and gain some domain knowledge. You don't necessarily have to kind of have 10, 15 years of construction experience, but if you don't kind of take the time to understand the domain that you're working in, that will allow you to communicate more with your audiences. So try to communicate in a language that your audience understands. Find solutions to problems that people can relate to. So speak with colleagues, speak with people within your business, stakeholders. Understand what their pain points are. Don't necessarily kind of go off on a tangent and start building solutions to problems that don't exist. Study. I would also say embrace self-teaching. I've got no shame in admitting that I've never had any formal training whatsoever in digital or in data. Completely self-taught, and and hopefully that's just a bit of encouragement to actually do some self-teaching. Plenty of resources out there, as well as the more formal methods of study. Can't reiterate the importance of networking enough. Through networking, I've been able to get the right opportunities at the right time. Get access to the right stakeholders, get feedback from the right people, but ultimately, build a network of. And I certainly think the project data analytics community is a fantastic network, and a very good kind of starting point. And lastly, back yourself. So kind of have confidence in what you're doing, and have confidence in your ability to make a difference, in whatever you're doing. Certainly, if you're looking to get into this space, you're in an emerging market, that's going to be around for some years to come. So